Are
Hey,
we
we're
live?
live. You know what we should do? We're live. Now I'll do this.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Welcome to the Lost Dollar Business Club, where we talk about business, and not just business. We talk about what makes businesses go up and what makes businesses go down. If you're interested in businesses, this is where it is. We talk about the global economy. We talk about global politics. We talk about everything and anything business related that affects your life on a global scale as well as a local scale. And don't miss after the show, Lost and Found.
All right.
Oh, we are here. Who knew?
Well, we're not totally here. I'm in a hotel in New York City for a conference, so I'm not in my usual recording studio in upstate New York.
Well, it's close enough for government work, as they say. So, that's all right.
Right.
I just have a fake. I have the fake background, so I just travel the world and know what I have a clue where I'm at.
Yeah,
So it works
that's
really
right.
well. We've just made this background that looks like seamless. So
It's very convincing, Stephen.
I
Very
did.
convincing.
Well, when you're part of the Illuminati Lizard People Club, this is what happens.
You get the virtual backgrounds.
We get the real stuff, and it's good because I'm really broadcasting from Pluto. So there you have it.
Perfect. Well, speaking of strange news, I mean, we're going to talk about. We'll get to the Musk Trump debacle, clown world argument, public argument. We'll get to that, but there's also a mess around the Trump family crypto wallet that one of Trump's business partners, Bill Zanker, is claiming is the Trump official crypto wallet, and the family is claiming no, it's not. Right. So you've also got that conflict around the Trump family. Yep. And actually, you remember that we had Cory Doctorow on the show talking about the Enshittification of the internet.
Yeah.
So we've got that concept, which is basically that big tech companies are making tech worse and locking us into worse and worse products over time. You've got the co-founder and CTO of Discord, which is that online community website. You've got him talking about Enshittification publicly because he's very concerned that things are in fact getting worse, and that it's you got to do right by your customers. He says he's definitely one. He's the one constantly bringing it up, and it's not a bad thing to build a strong business and monetize a product, but we have to be extremely thoughtful about how we do that. Now that's towing the line a little bit, but I know what he's getting at is just that the tech industry, people are just making it harder and harder to really enjoy the tech world because they're trying to make a profit.
Yeah, but there's profit and then there's FU profit. And I think the tech world now has gotten. I watched an economist the other day talk about oligarchs versus corporations. And the oligarchs want to be like an Amazon where they don't produce anything, but they produce money. Like a Facebook, they don't produce anything, they produce money. And corporations, who are like the Democrats, the General Motors, they like the status quo, and they like, they have manufacturing and whatever. And the oligarchs don't care, because what's happening is you're dumbifying the globe by taking university and education and whatever away. And so people are like, I'm stupid, I'll just hit buttons. So they don't really, the guy at Discord, kudos to him that he wants to make technology better for people. But really, at the end of the day, people are too stupid to know that if it's getting worse. Think about it.
I know.
We're training the little monkeys, say 40 and under, that this is your life. This is how you survive. That's your little monkey. Just click little buttons. That's all they do. And people that maybe are 40 or above are a little different because we actually went to school where you had to read. We didn't have computers. And there's a different mentality.
You theoretically wrote your own essays.
Yeah, you had to do. Now, even when we do business reports and business whatever, we write stuff, we stick it into ChatGPT or DeepSeek or DeepMind or Deep this or Deep that, and or Google's whatever they're one, and we're like, make it better. And it just cleans up your grammar and adds punctuation. I wish I had that when I wrote my thesis for my master's. Anyway, it cleans up your punctuation and everything. So there's no real thinking anymore. I mean, it's like you type out a 10,000 word sentence and you go fix it, and it goes, oh, okay, well, here's paragraphs and da-da-da. So it's a different mentality.
But the the Greeks and in the time of Socrates said the same thing about the young generation, is that they're getting dumber. They're not doing the work. Now, I do think things are. I agree with you. Things are a little bit different now with democratized intelligence, because this artificial intelligence is now accessible to everyone in all places. Now, you look at the screen time generation. You remember that guy John Haidt who wrote about the anxious generation, the young people
Yes.
with phones all the time, the mental health declines, and they end up being worse off. That resistance movement has grown a lot in the past year and a half since we first reported on that, and there's a whole movement of people who recognize the ills of the digital technology on young people. And there are even young people in New York City schools who are saying, we want nothing to do with it. We actually want to learn. We actually want to do the work. Now, is that the minority, or is that going to become the majority? I hope it becomes the majority.
Well, Australia, now remember, in Australia, 16 and under, you can't have social media, I think it is. They have a law. Like if you're 16 and under, you can't, there's no Instagram for you. There's no Facebook. There's nothing in Australia.
Wow.
You have to be, it's kind of like in Norway, if I'm not mistaken, when they teach you sports from ages 4 to like 12, there's no score. They just teach you how to play and enjoy the sport. And then I think when you get to whatever 13 is, then all of a sudden they're like, okay, now we keep score, winning and losing. But until then, they want you to learn the sport and enjoy it, not like teeter ball, like, the one team slaughters another team 7,000 to 1. The kids go home and crying, because then there's no enjoyment in the sport. So it's the same thing. The other thing, remember, AI today is not artificial intelligence. AI today is an idiot savant, because all it does is it's just been downloaded all the books and all these LLMs, spreadsheets on Excel and whatnot. It's not generative. It's not thinking. It can't go, how do you feel today? It can't tell you. So most of it is just, I was reading a book the other day. The professor, it's an idiot savant. It just happens to be able to do all this stuff quicker than the human can. Now, at some point, you'll have AI like Hal from 2001 that you'll have a real dialogue with. And then it won't be an idiot savant. It really will be AI. But today's AI,
the young people are using it. The young people are using it like life advisors, though.
I know, which is ridiculous.
Well, if it can help you be more reflective about yourself, then and ask you questions that you need to hear or feel like, because I feel like, and I wrote this on Twitter the other day, or on X the other day, was that somebody was saying, well, it's not real intelligence. Okay, true. And it can't really know who you are. It can't really understand who you are. And that's a fair point, except that when it understands the patterns of you, the more you interact with it, it could be like a hologram, where if you cut a hologram into pieces, you still get the image at a lower resolution, but you get the whole thing in the hologram, in the piece of the hologram. So it's almost like it can see a sliver of you and understand you, or at least understand your patterns, notice your patterns at a lower resolution.
See, I would disagree, because if you do the math calculations to get it to give you 20 words in a row, there's 2.4 quadrillion solutions that it could come up with for 20 words. Right. So when you say get to know me, it doesn't really get to know me, because it can't. I mean, granted, I can talk to it now.
It's pattern recognition, though. We know it's pattern recognition.
Right, but if I say to it, am I a sociopath? And it goes, yes, Stephen, you are. Then it knows me. But if it just says, oh, well, here's the answer to these questions, and I'll tell you, then it doesn't know me. It has to know me would be, like I said, the HAL 2001. That's AI. That's that's where we are.
Right. But maybe the level of knowing is what we need to adjust. This concept of knowing, because I agree. I don't think that it necessarily knows what it doesn't have a concept of knowing, but it has a concept of, we understand that it has a concept of pattern recognition, and if it sees patterns, we recognize patterns in our own way too. So maybe that's enough at this level, at this point of very nascent artificial intelligence, or as a lot of people are calling it, collective intelligence, because it has taken, these systems have taken the best of human knowledge, or in some cases just the mass of human knowledge, but it's taken all of human knowledge and put it into one entity that we can query. And that's a collective human intelligence, as opposed to an artificial intelligence that's come up with things on its own, although it's starting to do that too.
So basically, collective intelligence when we were kids was the Encyclopedia Britannica. Remember that?
Right, exactly.
9,000 things. You go home and your mom would be like, what do you I have to do a book report today? What's it on?
That's right.
Papua
You
New
gotta look
Guinea.
it up.
And she'd be like, well, there's the Encyclopedia Britannica taking up 17,000 square
That's
feet of the
right.
house. Go use it. That was your collective knowledge. And
That's
every
right.
month or quarter, they'd send you a new volume of what was updated.
But you had to be you had to be in a rarefied class to get that, to be able to afford that. And now you have no excuse. Now people have no excuse to be able to ask the AI about and explore, hopefully explore with their minds what's going on in the world. So,
well, we would hope.
We'd hope.
50-50.
There's a lot of, well, you know, the world is not written on hope and duct tape, is it?
Oh, you know, now it is, I think. Seeing what's going on in the world. Are you kidding? I think most of the world's written on hope and a duct tape.
Well, that might be a good time to transition to the Trump family disowning the Trump coin. It's not the Trump wallet. It's this magic. It's called the Magic Eden Trump wallet. Okay, Magic Eden, which is an established cryptocurrency marketplace.
Yes.
Said that they powered. They're powering the Trump official digital coin wallet, but that turns out, at least from the Trump family, to be totally not true.
There you go.
And this is exactly in line with the crypto community in general, where you have to be extremely careful about the claims being made by people in the crypto community for some reason, because it's so easy to create currencies. It's so easy to do that. There were even there were lots of people who've created these. I'm trying to think of some of the scams. A lot of them.
Well, look at the guys. There's the big one in Japan. They scam people out with their currency. I mean, the last UST, coin that was a stable coin that was going to be tied to whatever, they went bankrupt. So the other thing is that Truth Social is going to have their own crypto now, and I'm like, what? So I find this fascinating that we're pushing listen, all currencies, even government currencies, are make believe, but technically they're backed by the government. But I'm just saying, it's like we're pushing
this back by physical infrastructure, though.
Yeah, we hope.
No way.
But now we have a crypto algorithm, and listen, there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm just like, okay, but if it implodes, or just say one day we get a new president or a new king, either way, and he or she says, you know what, we're not going to do any crypto. The U.S. government and all the other governments, we have our own digital currency. Why do I need this crap? This crap is for illegal purposes, yada, 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 done. And they go, we're going to outlaw it tomorrow. So these Bitcoins and all these other things that are wherever they are today, 100,000, this and that, they would tank to zero, kind of like Tesla stock, which we're going to talk about momentarily. But it would go to zero and you'd be left with no assets. So, I understand guys on Wall Street and, all the other exchange, everyone wants to become a trillionaire. Okay.
Well, I don't think everybody wants that. I think a certain rare few kind of almost sociopathic people want to become trillionaires. You got to be a little. There's a little sickness in wanting to have that much money, I think.
I don't know. The problem is today that if you don't have money, you can't live. We've made a society, and now with this new tax bill that they're passing or trying to pass, the big bill, the big beautiful bill, as Trump says, there's a couple problems with it. One, they want to get rid of Medicare, basically. Like they're going to kill 16 million people in it. Like you can't have it anymore for whatever reason. They want to give more tax breaks to me. Thank you very much. And there's a little clause in there that no one knows about because no one reads these things. It says that you will not police AI for 10 years. You will not create laws for 10 years.
Right. Well, that was they said this at the state level. You could not create AI.
It's going to be the federal level too. Let's end, please. The state of Texas is trying to pass a bill that if you're from China, Cuba, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, you can't buy property. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, unless you have a green card.
Yeah.
We are literally becoming, like Roll says on Vaguely True, we're not united. We're just the states. We're North America. We just happen to be 50 little things, and we're governed by whoever in DC. There's no united anymore. So that's kind of the issue, is like, we've got all this going on. And so everyone's like, well, I need my own currency. So what? Lost Dollar Business Club we could have cryptocurrency, and we can get it accepted, I guess, in Venezuela, Argentina, wherever we want to go, and that would be currency. And then all of a sudden we would have this coin.
It's very divisive, you're saying.
Right. But that's the point. It's like, so 5 years from now, we're going to go to war over what? The CIA in the early 2000s said we're going to go over like in 2030, we're going to go to war over water because there won't be enough fresh water. I would think it was Carl Icahn or one of them, or one of the other guys this guy from Texas, I can't remember his name, a billionaire, was buying up all the water rights globally because he realized the next war is going to be over water.
The war will be against the owners of these things. That's the problem.
No, in the beginning, it's going to be like, I just say I own 10 million gallons of water. There won't be a war against me because I'm going to give you water for a price. Because we're going to privatize everything, right? They want to privatize Medicare. They want to privatize Social Security. They want to privatize this. And whatever Michigan City did it, the services suck. Nothing works, and they privatize it, and it's proven it doesn't work. So the problem is we've got, everybody says, I want to be rich, I want to be rich, I want to be rich, I want to be rich. Let's privatize it. I'll make money, 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 money.
Very myopic view.
Right. But nobody says, and the gentleman from New York University, the bald guy, I love him. I can't remember, his name just escaped me. Like he says, when you had money in the old days, you would help people, you would build things, you would do things. None of them do that. They all want to take apart because they're going to look at me, look at me. I don't know if and we've said this on the show, I don't know if they realize if you keep being destructive, at some point, the other 7 billion people are going to get a little annoyed with you.
That's right. That's right. Well, that was that talk you're referring to was Scott Galloway.
Thank you very much. I love Scott Galloway.
People should check him out. I mean, I don't necessarily, you're not going to agree with everything necessarily, but he makes a fair point that there was a intergenerational transfer of wealth away from anybody who wasn't already plugged into the economy, meaning most young people. And most people under 40 or in that generation. So, when you have this hyper concentration of wealth, not just hyper concentration of wealth with a certain group of people in a certain demographic, there's going to be increasing frustration with that wealth gap. And as you always say, just wait until 7 billion people want to take a picnic. That's not going to be a happy moment.
It's not going to be a pleasant pick. It's not going to be like, ooh, we're bringing a basket. They're going to bring other things.
Right.
And I think that's what they keep forgetting is, like I've said, the people I know that have real money, not these people like the bullshit money. Even Elon, poor.
Yeah.
The people that have real money, they would rather build. Barry Diller is one of them. Like Barry Diller says, I'm building parks. I'm building things for people to enjoy. Why? Because he said, it's my responsibility as a billionaire to make sure that future generations have these things. Yes. So that's old true money. The new people that are trying to be like, I'm going to go to outer space or send my girlfriend. So that's not anything. Those are just psychopaths with egos, and they're just lucky enough that they're at the right place at the right time. They hit the right thing. And those are the people that are going to have the issues. The people with money that are still doing charitable, or they're doing altruistic things for the communities, no one's going to bother them. They'll be like, oh yeah, they built a park. We like them. They have a food bank. We like them. Bill Gates has more money. And what did Bill do? I'm going to vaccinate the world so we can cure everybody. Now, granted, the mosquitoes that got out of his
there's arguments, right?
Well, listen, at least he's trying. But just because he put those mosquitoes in Florida to kill every Floridian, good for you, Bill, because they deserve it. But I mean, I'm just saying, there are billionaires that are trying to help. And then there's the other ones who are trying to say, my penis is small, but I'm going to build a rocket ship. And that is a problem. And that's where old money and nouveau riche don't understand. It's like the girls that are making $30 million a year on OnlyFans. Right. So my thing is, and I know they consider it work, and to a point, I'm sure it is. But do they respect it as the money and the responsibility that comes with that money as much as somebody who started a business, labored over it for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and then became a billionaire or whatever it was because they had to like break a sweat every day instead of going on OnlyFans and having a bunch of horny guys give them money. So it's kind of like
it's a
that's the
totally
difference.
different, it's a totally different model, and the reality is that a lot of those individuals on those sites don't make a lot of money.
Right.
Majority,
The
the majority do not.
right.
And you've got all of the I mean, probably the mental anguish that may result from some of that behavior. So.
Right. Well, that's why David's on that site with his Tahitian naked boys.
David, yes, we support
David
David.
makes a ton of money. If you want that, let us know. We'll send you David's link. John, just so everybody knows, is still in Argentina. He's hunting Nazi gold, and he has an OnlyFans page for that. You can follow his adventures. Anyway, the other one that got me yesterday, which was the best, because I had Bloomberg on. The minute I saw that the Lovebirds were having a quarrel, and I said at the beginning of the year, what happens when they have a fight? I kept asking. I said, there's going to be a fight, and they're going to fall out of love. There's going to be a problem.
You did say it.
Bing, bada, boom, for all the boys in Brooklyn and in the Bronx. Sure enough, yesterday they had a lovers' quarrel because the big, beautiful bill, Elon wants Trump impeached. He wants J.D. Vance to be president, which that's pretty funny. And his couch, by the way, his couch would be the first lady. But he said, I'm going to stop the Dragon flights. I'm going to kill SpaceX, and the government can't use it anymore. Now, I don't think that's really going to happen. He also now has all this information because he and his Doge boys went through the government, right? They have all this private stuff now. He talks to Putin like he's his buddy. So here's my thing. It's sort of like, why are you giving this gentleman this much power? Not talking Trump, I'm talking Musk. Why are you giving? Because he gave you $240 million. So now America, because of this, is in jeopardy. They had a guy on Bloomberg yesterday that said that this administration is not taking it seriously enough. This is a problem. And then yesterday, I think they lost $150 billion market value was Tesla.
Yeah, so, that's right. One day, in just one day,
which is the greatest loss he's ever had.
That's right. It went from 320 to 280.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a ridiculous drop.
But so my point is that, listen, if you oligarchs want to take over America, easily, you have enough money, you give every American $1 million, they'll let you do whatever the hell you want to do. That's it. You want to take over America, just bribe the public. If not, let the guy who sits in the Oval Office, whether it's Donnie or somebody else or the girl, let them run the country. Because all you're doing is screwing up. Donnie's screwing it up good enough. Even though a lot of what he wants to do, and I've said this on other shows and in the show, I agree with, it's just his way of doing it.
Well, I'm shocked. I mean, I agree with you. It's a lot of it's always, ideas are only as good as execution, and this is the same situation. It doesn't matter how good your ideas are; it's how you present them, how you get others involved, how you build consensus. And this has been a complete, I think, not only a disaster for the administration, but a disaster for Musk. And Musk he brought up the Epstein files. Yeah. He even made on Twitter, on X, he even made the claim that Trump was affiliated with that, which I think complicates things in the sense that why would you even bring that up like that?
I think it's the coolest way you can. I don't mean I don't agree with this. It's the coolest way you can blackmail the president in public. Like if you take away this and you do this and you don't listen to me and I bait Chile, I put you here, I gave you 240 million, whatever he's pouting about. That's your public blackmail. So that's my point. We need to go back to a different kind of way we do this. It's great now we have super fun. So basically, if I give you, say I'm a trillionaire, and I'm in 2028, whether it's going to be Trump running for a third term, J.D. Vance, or some Democrat is going to figure it out, or J.D. Vance's couch, which I'm going to say that should be president.
Support that,
I support that. So let's just say I give $500 million to that whatever person, male, female thing that's going to become president. And I'm going to be like, I want to do the Doge. I want to clean up with, of course, whatever you want. You give me 500 million. Then we have a fight. Now I've been through your systems. I know everything. I still have people there.
Right.
I could screw up everything. I could call Putin because he's my new best friend and go, hey, Vlad, guess what? So, when you got Starlink and everybody wants to depend on Starlink, you cannot have one person run everything. And I'm so shocked that the American public, not really shocked, they're stupid. And just because they think this guy is some sort of a god because he got lucky a few times as other spaceships, and they give him contracts. And that's the other thing. Trump said he's going to take away all of Elon's contracts. Guy makes $8 million a day on those contracts. So that's an issue.
Yeah.
If he cancels
Well,
Dragon,
it's not like the contracts don't actually produce some actual value. We need to get.
No, he's got the Starlink, he's got his Dragon, and now, like I said, this morning in an article in the Journal, he was saying, Musk is saying, I'm willing to talk to Donald, but Donald's like, we're going to kill his contracts, and he's like, screw you, I'm going to kill the Dragon flights. Well, hey, Mr. Bezos, I know you're screwing what's his face's ex-wife or whatever. Hey, could you get your head out of your ass now and maybe have your spaceships do what Dragon does?
What an opportunity if he's gonna, yeah.
My point is, like, what are you waiting for? Wake up. So you cannot have the richest person and if you read the New York Times article about him saying about all the drugs he took allegedly, and when you watch some of his actions on stage, like, okay, you can't have this type of person have this type of control over whether it's the DOD, NASA, the presidency. You got to have some sort of checks and balances.
Yes.
So this is an issue that the American public needs to be like, we like what you've done, but maybe not so much. I mean, it's really cool. You got spaceships that are futuristic. Yay. You took the patents from the 60s. Great. But you got to do something to protect the country. And we're not protecting the country. It's sort of like, once again, people are ostriches. They put their head in the sand and they don't care. When it's too late is when they're going to care. And then it's going to be like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this might be a sign of, some sort of ego collapse for Musk, because the way he's acting on X, and the ABC News article shows him wearing the Doge Father shirt, like the Godfather, Doge Father. Yeah. I mean, I think that indicates, the level of ego that got involved in what he was doing.
But here's the thing. Let me ask you this. There's still Doge people that are loyal to Musk working for the United States. Yeah, why are they there?
That's
why
a risk.
Are we getting rid of them? That's a risk. Why is it that Elon calls them and go, listen, you know what I need?
Right.
Because what checks and balances do they have? They're allowed to go do anything. And Trump's like, oh, no, they can't do anything without our permission. They already have all the information. They can do anything. Yeah. Who's to say, and I'm gonna be a little tongue-in-cheek here, like we'll do Austin Powers, because if you're gonna be tongue-in-cheek, that's the best the best to be, right? We're not gonna do James Bond, that's a little too serious. No. But who's to say Elon Musk becomes Dr. Evil now? He's got all this information in the United that we have, militarily, so people's stuff, whatever it is, and he's like, ooh, I can blackmail the United States government for $1 million, or as it would go to a bill, or I can give it to Putin, or I can give it to North Korea. Who's to say he won't do that now, because they've had their little lovers spat and they're not going to be best friends anymore, which is what I said in January. When they break up, it's going to be dangerous. Okay, they broke up. Now what? Now, what do we do? Why are the Doge guys still there? Why don't we say to the Doge guys, thank you so much for your help. Go. You want somebody to cut your budget? I know Donnie won't do this. Bring Al Gore back. Al Gore did it for Bill Clinton, and they cut about $1 billion plus out. Your $2 trillion didn't happen. You cut $174 billion, mostly out of USAID, which was most of that was research, not hamsters singing and dancing or whatever. Why don't you bring Al Gore in as a consultant? Because he did it when Clinton was president, and that's the last time we had a balanced budget, because we all got checks. So apparently what Al Gore did when he was vice president worked. What your people are doing, just kissing your tuchus, is not working. Maybe we should try a different approach. Maybe we should all work together as one big happy family instead of going Republican and Democrat. It's just food for thought. I know it's crazy, because here at the Illuminati Lizard People Club, we want you to all fight. But if we don't, why don't we do that? It would just seem to me that would make sense. But I don't know anything. I'm just a finance guy. So knock yourself out.
No, you're right. And there's actually a test happening in the hotel right now, some sort of alarm test.
That's because they know we're talking about.
They know what we're talking about. Exactly.
They know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
So
it's problematic, and
yeah.
I think that ultimately this would be a great topic for David D. Malfetta, because he's probably
Yes.
got some inside intel on what's happening at Capitol Hill.
Well, he'll probably be back in July, I would think.
Yes. We'll have to
So
get
David
him.
will be back in July to talk about
That's
that.
right.
So that'll be an interesting show with David because he'll give us the skinny. He can only say so much though.
Of
I do
course, of
appreciate
course. No,
because
and
he
he's a
doesn't want to give
journalist.
up.
He's
Yeah,
from a journalist, but I like that perspective.
yeah, but I like the fact that he'll be like, I can only say this because like he says, I don't want my sources to get mad at me. So I do
Yeah,
appreciate
and that's
what
fair.
information we
Totally
get, and that's right. We don't want him to piss off, like everybody. That's our job. That's what we do.
That's
So,
right.
but yeah, so I thought it was yesterday. Kind of was the culmination of the whole week. Just what was going on with the kids fighting. They even said now that with Musk pouting, this could have dire consequences on the Ukrainian government for the war with
Oh,
Russia.
right.
And we know last week they decided to blow up some of their planes, and now Putin said, "I'm going to have to blow up you." So they're doing a lot of blowing, and I don't think
Yes,
anybody's getting enjoyment from it. But
not good.
so not good. So it's just been a week of, are you kidding me? Like, if I would have written this in a book or made a movie of
Oh,
this, people would think I was on drugs. That's all.
well, where's the? I mean, this goes back to the original critiques of people who are leveraging the Trump enthusiasm for
Right.
to be very. I mean, to not have a sense of decorum
Yeah.
at the government level, and maybe this is why we tended, at least in the past, tended to have some senses to what the position meant, what it meant
Right.
to be in government, and maybe people will recognize that you do have a sense of decorum. You don't do things like this massive fight between Trump and Musk, in public, because
It's okay to
it's
disagree.
very destabilizing. It's very destabilizing.
I'm okay that they fight. Listen, I don't care. You can fight in public because, when Reagan was president, they would all disagree. Tip O'Neill and Ronnie, they would argue
No,
and
but
yada
there's a
yada.
way to do it. There's a
But,
way to
but,
do it.
right. But the other thing was, and everybody forgets this, is that on a Friday night, Tip O'Neill would be at the White House with Ronnie, like having cigars and scotch. They'd be
Right.
getting drunk together and work out the differences. Um, I don't think anybody's done that
10
since
years.
maybe Clinton. I don't think
Well,
they did it with Obama.
maybe longer. I know from some of my own understanding is that it's been at least 10 or even 15
More
years
years, yeah.
when the two parties have gotten so divided they can't even have a drink with each other, which is a crazy
Yeah.
cultural shift, actually.
The dumbest thing in the world. I don't know if people realize this, but we're all stuck on this little blue marble together. I don't know if
Right.
you realize it.
Right. Yeah.
So, and we're all, if you're in, let's just say you're in America. We'll just say our little America, not Canada or the other parts, just ours. The idea is for us all to work together, not to try to kill each other and have a civil war. Just saying.
Yeah.
So the fact that the Republicans and the Democrats can't work together, the fact that the beautiful bill, and they want to basically take away things that Americans have been working for. These are issues. And the fact that they can't talk about them civilly, and I heard a
Right.
Republican strategist yesterday on Bloomberg go, they've got to pass it quickly, because if they don't, it won't make it because people are going to go on 4th of July break and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. I'm like, that's not how
Or
government
maybe
should
not.
run.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't rush.
And maybe we should take our time and go through the bill and go, hey, this AI thing, maybe it should be in another bill. Oh, this Medicare, all this privatization, maybe not. Like, you want to just have a budget? Let's have a budget. And
Yes.
so, listen,
This is
we're a printing
That's more
press.
of the same. That's more of
Yeah.
the same in a way.
And right, and we haven't done anything. So it goes back to, if let's rethink this, how we're going to cut things out. Let's go and systematically do it properly, and we're fine. But the way we're doing it, which is like, slash and we have to bring everybody back anyway. So that was the joke we were saying the other day, is like, they fire all these people from Veterans Affairs, nuclear regulatory, and like a week later they had to bring them all back because they're like, oh, nuclear
Yeah.
regulatory, that controls our nuclear weapons. And the veterans were like, the joke I told someone the other day, I said, the veterans, they're cutting their pensions, and a lot of these guys have, like, World War II tanks, and they're like, we'll just go to Washington in our tanks. And people are like, maybe that's not a good thing. We should probably let the
Right.
veterans be okay. So it's kind of like, let's think through what we're doing. And if you want to, be you, but behind closed doors, let's get people with some IQ points that go, hey, let's do this, let's do that, and that aren't there to build up their ego, that aren't there to build up whatever, and don't feel the need that every time they go to the bathroom or the loo, if you'd like to be cleaner, need to be on television and tell everybody how big and beautiful it is. And that goes to Musk. And so, like I said, this is going to be a problem. And he's been losing money. So now what's going to happen is what? Trump cuts his contracts. Musk's going to pout and say, I'm not going to fly my dragon. So we have people in space. Boeing, I heard a guy from NASA yesterday, Boeing is so far out of it. They're never, if they have to go retrieve these people are just dying in space. So now what do we do? Like I said, Bezos, stop pretending that you can really do something. And now you have a chance to take over what Dragon or SpaceX is doing.
Right.
Build a real rocket ship and don't do this publicity crap. Like what I'm shocked at is if I was Bezos and I have a rocket ship, I'm going to be like, why the hell do I want to send my girlfriend and wife up there just because whatever? I would be like, hey, we're going to go to the space station, say hello, and then come back. Now you've accomplished something. Now I'm like,
his company Blue Origin might not be able to do it. That's the issue, and that's the issue. They might not even be able to do that.
Right, because you know why?
Because it shows why you need a diversity of companies and why you need competition, and why this goes back to what we've talked about months ago, and probably I think for a couple of years now. We've talked about the monopolization of the economy and why it's so risky.
Yep.
Because you're really centralizing all of this power, corporate power and corporate supply chains, and you're creating a very much more fragile economy for this kind of thing, where you rely on just one vendor, and then they get into a spat publicly, and now you no longer have that option.
So now the question is, what is America going to do? And I'm not like, and Bloomberg yesterday, that's literally every expert was like, so. Like they were being like, why this? Why? And
we need somebody to come in with a renewed vision for how we operate. I mean, seriously. Yeah. And I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen that from anyone.
And now the problem is you're saying, Musk still wants to go to the moon. He still wants to go to Mars. And because he's friend with Putin, who's to say he doesn't move SpaceX to Moscow? Which you think, I'm like, that's an interesting hypothesis the guy brought up yesterday. And I was like, well, that's interesting. So, I mean, like everything I heard yesterday gave me no confidence unfortunately, in our government for security and for this and for that. And then what the crazy guy is going to go do with his toys. Yeah. So, because if he gets mad, and I think our DOD uses SpaceX, or not SpaceX, but Starlink. So if he gets mad tomorrow and shuts off Starlink on our DOD, then what?
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. So he's threatening to do all this. Trump's threatening to cut contracts. And I'm sure cooler heads will prevail. By Monday, they'll all kiss and make up and have a kumbaya hug.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
But you cannot put the world at the brink of, like if I'm China, Russia, maybe India, I would be like, this is awesome. Like these are children. And Xi, I don't think is a child. I think Xi is a very smart man. Putin can go either way sometimes. But Xi, I think, is very smart and strategic because he still thinks like a Chinese person. He has a 10,000-year plan, and he knows he's just this one little part of their 10,000-year plan, and he's going to make sure it goes down their power.
Although some of the way he's been rewriting history to elevate his name in the line of Chinese Communist Party leaders also gives me not a lot of confidence that there's a bit of ego being brought into that fight too. And as we all know, ego doesn't, an excessive amount of ego doesn't usually result in a good end outcome.
And that proved out yesterday for the two kids that are fighting. There you go.
Well, all right. So on that note, we're ready to go to Lost and Found.
Should we run a commercial and pay a bill first and then go to Lost and Found?
Sure.
Let's pay the bills, kid. And then we're going to go Lost and Found for you people on the podcast. For you people watching live, here you go.
Get the freedom and the flexibility of remote work in the lucrative tech industry. Bend your life around the world. Bandicoot is the premier course and community for thriving in a remote tech career. Join the revolution today. Bandicoot.com, official partner of the Lost Dollar Business Club.
Ever wonder how millions vanish into thin air? or how a single dollar can make all the difference. Join us on Lost and Found, where we dive into the wild world of financial mysteries. From misplaced fortunes to unexpected windfalls, we unravel the stories of people, companies, organizations, and even governments who've lost and found millions. Lost and Found, because every dollar has a story.
Ooh, every dollar has a story.
Yeah,
That's
it
that
does
app
indeed.
where you can punch in your money and it shows where it's been. Anyway,
It does indeed.
yeah, it does indeed. So since David's not here to show us some cow
I
jumping
know.
anything, thank God. It's just Michael and I. So I don't know how good these are going to be. So we'll see. So you want to go first? You want me to go first on the?
I mean, I really just got one,
Me too.
cautionary tale for the American consumer. So
Okay, do your cautionary tale, and I have a feel good story. I
oh,
have a
that's
feel
good.
good
Well,
story.
let's end on the
We'll
feel
get
good.
a feel good
So,
story.
so
Okay.
here's one that actually is. I think everybody has had some experience with those fast fashion, cheap Chinese goods manufacturers, or at least vendors.
Oh,
Shine,
Temu.
Shine and Temu, right? Shine and Temu,
Yeah.
and they've been now accused of dark patterns, aggressive commercial practices, which I think everybody who's ever touched the app, which hopefully you didn't spend much time on the app because it's so problematic, but they they would give you those timers to create time pressure to complete the purchase. You couldn't leave the app. There were pop-ups happening and notifications constantly to drive up purchases. But the real thing that actually had a recent impact on Temu and Shine is that we finally closed the de minimis loophole, which Michael Collins, who was on the show, always talked about, which was that you didn't have to pay taxes under $400. I think it was $800, but you didn't have to pay under the $800 limit. And so they were just flooding the market with goods and selling it in that way. So now that loophole's been closed, Temu's daily active users dropped 50% in just 2 months, and Shine went down 25%. So they're really hurt by that de minimis loophole, which needed to be closed anyway. So that's a dollar lost for.
There you go. I figured out where the buzzer was. There you go. Well, I feel bad for them because now we're going to have to come up with a new fake Chinese thing to go make money and have the American public buy things.
Yeah,
We'll
right.
figure that
Buy
out.
things. Exactly.
Buy things. Now, mine's just a feel-good story. I read this morning in the journal, and I chuckled because there's so much crap going on. I was like, do I want to give another political business? And I said, I read this. I go, this is the feel-good story. This is going to make everybody, or not, at least say, oh, that's nice. So 59-0, the college baseball team that never lost a game, the newly crowned NAIA National Championships, LSU, Shreveport, has won all 59 of their games, has never lost a game from June. I'm sorry, it's from January to June. They went 59-0.
Wow.
The LSA for LSU. They are the world champions here, if you will. They said this is the same thing as Joe DiMaggio's 56 game hitting streak or Carl Whipkins' 2,652 consecutive games played. This never happens. No one's ever done it. So congratulations to LSU. I'm going 59-0. So I thought that was just a nice feel good story. There's no money. There's no nothing. It's just some college kids playing a game that they love. And now, of course, when they go to the MLB for a draft, they're going to be like, I was on that team and, make hundreds of millions of dollars. So, but I'm just saying, so congratulations to them. I mean, that was just, as we would say, a beauty. So
that's a beauty. That's a beauty.
That's a beauty.
What a good note to end on. This is a great show. Good to see you again, Stephen.
Always
we'll be back next week, usual. But it's gonna. Hopefully, we'll have John back too. But I know that we don't have a guest next week.
We do have a guest at the end of the month. We do have Guy Standing
at the end of the month. That's right.
Are coming back. They're going to talk about basic income, cryptocurrencies. So, and we know we got a lot of love letters last week from people saying that the guy that was saying, "Oh, UBI," blah, blah. So we're going to bring Guy Standing back because all the programs he was talking about that weren't good were the ones that Guy implemented. So we're going to have them have, I know this is going to shock people, a civilized discussion on the differences, but why one thinks it's bad, why one thinks it's good. So that'll be at the last Friday of June. So you don't want to miss that. Whether you miss it, you come live or you go to the rebroadcast. The other thing, if you're live, you'll be able to ask questions. So there you go.
Very good.
And that's it. That's all we got. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We'll see you next week and enjoy your weekend. Cheers. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way.